Okay, let's get into this. This is a game from Anken V2, who is currently in Grandmasters, about 300 LP on E West, playing against a GP player, 360k points on the GP, level 7, second most played champ on that account. So safe to say he supposedly knows what he's doing on Gangplank. I thought I'd make this video just because it's interesting to see how Singed can go up against a good GP and actually come out on top, which is rare to see because most of the time, and this is why I get comments on a lot, especially recently, is Gangplank is so difficult to play against as Singed. People really get into a loop of just getting stuck in that awkward phase of laning where the Gangplank is constantly getting grasped with the Undying procs on you with his Q, just easily out damaging you and just making your life a living hell, and a lot of Singed players don't really know how you can counteract that or how you can address it or go even, etc. So I just wanted to make this video showing how it can be done in the high elo. Right, so you see, GP doesn't come with the wave, so Ankrum V2 is just hard shoving. And what you absolutely love to see is he gets perfect farm on the first wave. So we have that, nice. He shoves it in, Gangplank goes into tower, Gangplank might miss a couple CS because Gangplank doesn't farm very well under tower at level 1. But what's useful to note is, instead of just standing there and watching the GP farm, Angry V2 decides to run all the way down river to the isolated brush and ward it, which gives really good vision, because it shows if Set is going to do anything cheeky with Rek'Sai. It basically just covers this Rek'Sai's beginning. And god, this is such an action-packed start. We're gonna have to rewind. But yeah, it's worth noting, like, you see this ward, it's got this entrance covered, this entrance covered. You can see if Set is going to go for Scuttle, although I don't think that was the intent of this ward. And it also covers gank entries. And it's so useful, because you throw that down. If you know the jungler's starting here, they're not going to path here at level 2 unless they're maybe a Twitch or something. The Twitches normally start red anyway. You're pretty safe in thinking that the jungler is going to go to the red buff, and then is probably going to try and gank bot or mid. They're not going to go down to red and then go all the way back up to the top. So you can afford to get rid of your early ward here, because you cover any invade. You allow yourself to get vision if they do try to do anything cheeky. So yeah, just a nice little thing. Gets a lot of value out of essentially nothing. Like, you hard shove the first wave and then you just run down, drop a ward, make sure no funny business goes on with the enemy jungler. But yeah, let's rewind because there's a very action-packed beginning. Alright. So he clears this perfectly. Also remember to auto-attack. There's a lot of like gold and silver Singed players where I watch their games and they just don't use their auto-attacks to finish off CS. See, so this GP is just pushing his wave back, relatively stuck on the tower. Does he get perfect CS here? He misses one. But yeah, that ward is done. Very nice. And then obviously he's going to get poked, but he's just trying to clear the wave, get his level 2. See, this is the sort of thing right there, where you get hit for shitloads of damage with Grasp. But this is purely Ankrum V2 knowing his limits. Completely knowing his limits. He gets to 8 stacks of Conqueror, then he uses his Ignite, to get the 10th stack, so he starts doing true damage and healing off of the damage he's doing. Then he gets the last auto and then a diminishing Q damage. He flashes away to avoid any auto attack or Q from Gangplank to ensure that he doesn't die and he gets the kill. Wrong one. I always press the wrong buttons on these. What's worth noting also is instead of going for the normal Dark Seal refillable start, he just opted to go straight for the Corrupting Potion, and then on first back he gets Doran's Ring and Boots of Speed. I'm in the process of making a separate video on the actual numbers of starting items. So how much damage and how much healing Corrupting Potion does at early levels, and Doran's Ring and Dark Seal, blah 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 blah. I haven't finished it yet because I'm trying to get into contact with Riot about something regarding it. But when I've done that, I will let you know. But yeah, Ankh V2 and some other high elo Singed players at the moment are finding Corrupting Potion and then going into a Doran's Ring is better than starting off with Dark Seal and getting refillable. I think part of it is because you're very unlikely to get good use of the Dark Seal Glory passive. Just because it's high elo, people are less likely to make mistakes, it's harder to kill people, it's easier to get killed on an supposedly off-meta champion as Singed. Let's walk him back to lane. So, yeah, it gives you more sustain against heavy poke from the Grasp Gangplank, which is useful. You also get better damage in longer fights. I'm still unsure how I feel about it, but yeah, it's what's been happening. I think someone has done the maths already, and it is you get more stats out of going this like early build path. But yeah, I'm still looking into it. It's a nice little gank. Watch this tower shot. You love to see it. So obviously he's forced to recall. He has... Oop, wrong one. He has pretty much no gold at the moment because he's just come back to lane. He only has just shy of 300. So he just buys a pink ward and a rejuve bead, which is quite interesting. In my opinion, it's a waste of 150 gold. He could have just waited and saved that money for his boots. But yeah. This is one of the quirks of Ankh V2. He likes to build these like little component items in the early game and then build something big just as you go into mid game. I don't see any other Singed players doing this. I don't think it's necessarily like a secret OP thing, but it is what he likes to do. So I've seen him do it with fairy charms. I've seen him do it with rejuve beads. There was also a joke going around a little while back about how it was the Ankh V2 build when you just build a bunch of components for stuff. So you build like a haunting guise, Seeker's Arm Guard, just random components like that. A blasting wand, slap that in there, and that was the Ankh V2 build where you just build a bunch of random stuff and then you don't actually finish anything. Yeah. So he's chilling, he's farming. There's not massive amounts to say right now. But it's top lane, so there's got to be a lot of time where it's just two people trying to farm. It is worth noting though how often he recalls. It's been 6 minutes. He's gone back to base about 3 or 4 times now. He's just getting 1 or 2 waves, recalling, buying items, then running back to lane. It's starting to affect his farm. He's 7 farm behind right now. But the item advantage he gets from having those boots compared to Gangplank having his sheen is way bigger. So he can go back into lane feeling relatively safe, relatively confident that he can 1v1 this Gangplank if it comes to it. See, he goes in straight away as soon as he gets to lane. Because he wants to start these fights. Because he knows he has the item advantage. See. Also, something really useful there. Well, two things actually. If you have Ignite, and the enemy top laner has teleport, as they often do, you can always be the aggressor in the lane. Because you know for a fact, especially when you're running the Conqueror build, just the bog standard Conqueror build, you know for a fact that you're going to be able to win almost every fight if you have Ignite up and they don't have Ignite. And also something worth noting is, if we jump back here a hot second. Oh my goodness. Sorry to jump back, but this is worth noting. So he flings him away from the tower, ignites him, and then as he's running away, look, he turns back and he runs off. So he's making sure... Why are we on that? He's making sure that because he knows that Gangplank has grasped with the Undying, he's making sure that Gangplank cannot Q him to get the health back, to maybe drag the fight out or maybe survive. He's got the Ignite, he's got the Q damage over time. He 100% will die unless he just runs at him and gives him a Grasp with the Undying stack. So, yeah. If they have forms of heal like that, like Nasus Q as well, stuff like that, it's good to just leave them and let them just like burn. That sounds really mean. But yeah, this is a relatively unorthodox build. Just insofar as he doesn't go Rylai's first, he doesn't get Leandri second, he doesn't build how Sinch is conventionally built. It doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong or bad. I think the build he goes for this game is actually really, really, really strong into their team comp. And I'll run through that as he builds it, just why it's a good idea to be picking up those items. See, look, he comes back in the lane and he's just constantly trying to fight. See, it's such a poor fight there, but he's going for it anyway because he can put the pressure on. Watch this. He W's, flings, flashes, like that, clockwork. That was so perfectly played. Any other champion would have been dead there. But Ankem V2 knows exactly what he's doing with his... Look at this. Throws the W there, flings, and insta-flashes. Any other champion there would have been dead. And that just goes to show the strength of Goofling. People really don't utilize Sinch's W, like, at all. It's only the very high elo players that actually like care about using W, because it's such a broken ability. It's unbelievably strong. I would go as far as to say it's Sinch's best ability, because it's the amount of utility it provides is just absolutely insane, and that's just a key example of, if you use your W correctly, you can get out of pretty much anything. So perfectly played there. That was absolutely fantastic. And the way he angled it as well. He knew exactly how to manipulate that set. Because he knew Set was coming in for melee range. He knew that if he was in the brush, then he would have the vision advantage because he can see Set before Set sees him, because Set has to ward or Gangplank has to ward. And he has that brief moment where he can reposition himself so that he gets his W down as they're getting vision, and then he can fling as soon as they get vision of him. This fight is just a mess. This just shows how stupid Zoe is. What is even going on here? Picks up a relatively free kill. Just pops Ignite early on. Bish bash bosh, just getting the damage down. It was a good roam, especially when Gangplank has next to no lane pressure. He can afford to be going around the map. Because if your team's doing Dragon and you've got a 0-2 Gangplank in your lane that you've just been bullying the entire game, you can get down there pretty quickly, and you can put work in to get the rest of the team ahead. At least that's the dream. Sometimes it backfires and it goes really wrong, but in this case it worked out pretty well. It is normally worth running down though, because you see when he was running down, he ran through mid, turned his Q on, and didn't even stop to farm. That's one of the amazing things about Singed. You can farm a lane without actually being there. You just throw your poison down and then you just run through. And then you have so much more uptime compared to people who actually have to farm the waves. Whereas your poison is just farming for you. It's almost like a Heimerdinger turret. Like your Q is doing the damage for you even though you're not present. So he's already on Zoe at the Dragon Pit whilst farm is dying to his poison. So he's keeping that uptime and getting farm, getting gold, whilst he's also contributing to the impact of the map. And he's also adding more pressure because the wave is being pushed without anyone actually being there. So it crashes into tower. So Zoe's losing wave whilst also dying. And these things stack up. It's such a small thing as well. Like, you just turn your Q on for a bit whilst you're walking through a lane. And then that snowballs into being very beneficial for you. Even if it seems like an insignificant thing. So, his first pickup is the Hextech Prayer Belt 01. 300 health, 60 AP, and 10% cooldown reduction. All those are really nice stats on Singed. And also the Fire Bolts is really useful against Gangplank. Can be useful against Set, and is useful against Zoe because you can use the active of it to jump out of the way of barrels which are going to hit you, Zoe E's or Q's that are going to hit you, or Set E's or W's if you're just trying to get out of the range of it. You can throw it about out of the range. He doesn't have to do it that much this game, if I recall correctly. He mainly uses Hextech Pro Belt just for the stats and for closing gaps like that. Because if you get slowed by a barrel, then you can Pro Belt to gain that distance that you would have lost from the slow anyway. This is a really dumb fight though. Oh no, it's not this one. Oh wait, yeah, it is this one. Yeah. He's 4-0. Rip Zoe. He's 4-0. He goes in on a 0-3 Gangplank. Uses everything he has, even though Gangplank isn't really worth that much. Gangplank, I mean, unless he's counting how long Gangplank's teleport takes, he should be thinking, well, this Gangplank is teleport. If I kill him in a 1v1, but we both die, then it's more beneficial for him because he might have TP up and he might be able to just TP back to lane. Also, because it's Gangplank and he has his ultimate, if he respawns, he has instant map pressure because he can ult anywhere on the map, whereas Singed has to get back to wherever he wants to put the pressure on. So yeah, I would chalk that up to just being a mistake on V2's part, just getting greedy for no real reason. Yeah. I don't think it was worth it. I think it would have been better if he just forced him out of lane and then took like 2-3 waves of farm, got a lot of damage on the tower, or forced a TP from Gangplank back to lane, or an ultimate, God forbid. So yeah, don't do that in your games. Doesn't see the set on Herald just yet. tries to steal it, doesn't get it. He flashes for that, but then he sees Akali's there, so he doesn't use his fling. A good thing to note. He goes for the flash fling, but then he notices, oh wait, Akali's going to be able to kill that guy whether or not I flash fling him. So I'm just going to save my fling so I can gap close on GP with my ult move speed, which he does. Perfect. Most players would just flash fling the low health set, get the kill, and then they don't have any more fuel to be able to kill that GP. But with a lot of game experience on Singed, as V2 has, this is like working like clockwork, basically. He knows exactly what he's supposed to be doing. He knows that if he flash flings the set, sure, he'll get a kill on the set. But it's so much better for Akali to get that kill, and then him to be able to kill, for him to be able to kill that GP with his fling up still. Really smart by him. Now he's building into a Seeker's Arm Guard because, for the most part, this game consists of him fighting GP and set. Zoe isn't really around top lane that much, so he might as well be building the Seeker's Arm Guard and the Venus Codex. They're both really nice component items, and Zhonya's is a really useful item regardless for AP champions. So, yeah. But it's an interesting build because normally by now you would have expected at least a Ryla's, at least a Leandre's, something like that. But he's going a very unorthodox build. This Kali's just popping off in the mid lane now. This poor GP. He's 151. V2's just laughing at him. Just using his proto belt to clear the wave instantly, so he can run around a bit, stretch his legs. So yeah, I've seen in the past. I haven't seen it so much recently. People are very scared to use their proto belt to clear waves, but it can be really useful if you're trying to set up a gank or something. Watch this, he throws his W away from him and then flings him over, because he knows exactly where that set's going to come from. Easily gets himself out of there. And also he tanks the wave, he tanks the tower whilst they're doing the dive because he has his ult on, so he has the added resistances, so the tower will do less damage to him. Something to note when, because I mean, considering he's going essentially just an AP build, he's just got a bit of armor on him. But in his ult, he's 100% more tankier than Rek'Sai is. So letting Rek'Sai do damage whilst he's like lingering on the sidelines, just tanking the tower, is really, really smart of him. Because it means both of them can get out of that alive. As opposed to if he runs in, does his damage, and then runs out, and then leaves Rek'Sai to finish up, Rek'Sai might die, and that would be catastrophic for the gank, because it would enable GP to get a big lead that he wouldn't have had otherwise. But now we're almost returning to the dorm. He's going to build Leandre's third. Just so... yeah, just to keep us appeased. Like, cool, it's fine, V2, you can build all these like weird items, but please, build something orthodox. Okay, that GP played that really well. It might not have been intended, but he queued the barrel after V2 used his proto belt, so V2 can't cancel the slow from the barrel with his proto belt. He gets hit by it anyway. This is just him overstaying. A good use of Zhonya's to negate that damage, but it's not going to be enough. He can't really go anywhere here, so he gets him. He really shouldn't have stuck around for that. I know exactly what he was thinking. He was thinking, okay, if I can get a fling auto attack on this GP, then he's probably gonna die. But he just cannot. And Zoe's such a nuisance. See, look here. Zoe's such a pain in the ass to play against. What's his gold at? No, he has no gold. But yeah. It's an interesting build. It works fine. I see him building Zhonya's a lot. And I have to agree with him. I think Zhonya's is kind of an underrated item on Singed. He flashes in, flings the ADC into his goo. He's just running around. Oh my goodness. The power of Conqueror is insane. You see, something to note, which might not have been a consideration before, but once you have Conqueror fully stacked, because you're healing off of the damage, and your E does percent of the maximum, percent of the target's maximum health as magic damage, you can get some huge heals off of that instantly. Like, he just healed about 200 health there. Something around there. Just with his fling. Which is absolutely bonkers. But yeah, that just goes to show how much he's played Singed, that he knows how much damage he can take before he dies. But even then, I think he was probably sweating there. I think he was probably like, oh shit, that was a bit of a close one. But yeah, I had a conversation with him just before I started recording this, and he was saying like, oh my god, today's been such a good day for me. He's been having games like this all day. So yeah, hopefully we'll see him in Challenger soon. I still think, and I'll probably defend this until he gets washed up, that he's the best current Singed player in the world. I watch a lot of games. I haven't been able to recently because match history's been broken, which is just a tragedy. Thank you, Riot Games, you indie company. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of high elo games, and there's something about Angry V2's gameplay. Most high elo Singed players, they play with the mentality of, well, there's two types, there's two camps. They're either, they will put so much pressure on the enemy that they force mistakes out of them, and then they capitalize on those mistakes, and that's how they dominate on Singed. Because Singed can do a lot of stuff to force mistakes in enemies. I might make a video on it some point in the future, but it feels like something that only people who are going to get into high elo anyway would benefit from. But yeah, so there's those people who are just very aggressive and they force mistakes in enemies. And there's the other side of the coin where it's people who don't try and force mistakes, they're not as aggressive, they just try to play like relatively conservatively, and they use Singed as like a damage soaker in the game. And they do stuff like Spellbook, Predator, that sort of stuff, where they try and be a massive utility input, and they try and win off of just having way more utility than anyone else, really capitalizing on the ability to soak up so much damage with their the slow from Rylai's on your Q, being able to zone with that, using your W really efficiently, and being able to just absolutely abuse people with your E and completely displace people in team fights. But with Angry V2, he's a bit of both, I want to say. He doesn't necessarily try and force people into making mistakes, because that can be really risky, and he doesn't play that risky normally. Not anymore, at least. He used to be way riskier. But like right now, like back like a couple months ago, he would be doing that even if he was 0-4. As opposed to being 9-2 and being extremely ahead, where he can actually afford to do ballsy things like try and steal the enemy's blue, whilst the jungler is on it. So yeah, he tries to create these opportunities of pressure, but he doesn't necessarily go balls to the wall with it, where you just try and force it, and you either go 10-0 or you go 0-10. And neither does he just build utility and build like Righteous Glory and things like that. Like he plays AP, but in like a conservative way. It's weird, but he's been doing really well on it. So, not gonna knock him. Instant Zonias. And then he flashes right in. And then Janna saves him. You see? He runs through the minion wave and then runs straight at them. And then as he's running at them, the minion wave dies. Yep. That's it. His final score of the game is 11-10. Yeah. And of course, the 2 AP champions and the support are the ones that survive, so it takes a year for them to kill the enemy base. But yeah, that's the game. That's it. That's how you play against GP. Really well played, honestly. He completely stomped the lane without the help of his jungler. His jungler came in for a gank once in the early game just to get his flash out. But it really comes down to just hammering at them. He took a couple of like very unsavory trades, but being able to do those trades and then being able to heal it up is ultimately what won him the lane, I would say. Because he gets that first blood, he gets that advantage, he keeps recalling to keep the item advantage up, and then he just uses that to abuse the GP because he knows he's ahead in items. So if he keeps abusing this GP and forcing both of them to recall, then he's always going to have the item advantage. And that means he's always going to have the advantage in lane. And that means he's going to be able to get more kills on him. He's going to be able to get more towers, more objectives, more pressure on the map. And ultimately, he's going to be able to snowball that into having one top lane and being able to impact the rest of the map. But yeah, I mean, the rest of his team did really well as well. So he would have won anyway. But this is primarily just to showcase like how to address the GP pick. Anyway, yeah, that's all I had to say. Great game by Angman V2. I hope this is useful to you. Yeah, see ya.